Hi, I'm Jason Hill,
And I'm James Blackburn.
and this is No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
Now, our goal is to teach you some simple and easy ways so that you can get started with prepping in case of a natural disaster or a crisis situation.
Yep, and on this week's episode, we got a really special one for you, and that is
Social
what leads
to
social
breakdown.
Yeah, exactly. What leads to social breakdown?
Missed my cue.
Oh,
I'm
Hey.
hearing some odd words happening in here.
We don't know what we're doing, but that's all right.
what do you got for us there?
Do you ever? This is for another episode. I'm getting some stuff set up for later on. That way we're not having to try and buy a bunch of cans at one point.
Nice.
Hey, how's it going?
This is our co-host, Danny Lenski. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. And on that note, I got to run because we have a guest later on today, and I want to make sure that she's all set up and ready to go.
Okay.
Okay,
See ya.
we'll try not to eat all the soup while you're gone. It looks really yummy, though.
Quite the
Breakfast of champions.
accomplishment.
Yes.
I would almost want to give you a prize if you did. So I'll be back.
Thanks, Danny.
Yeah, that would be awesome. In case you're unaware, Danny's middle name is Awesome.
Yeah.
She is awesome.
So today's episode, social breakdown.
Yes.
And what we want to discuss is some of the different things that can lead to a social breakdown. And one of the most prevalent would be a natural disaster.
Exactly.
And we look at, say, Hurricane Katrina, for example.
Yep.
Whereas the flooding comes in, the streets are blocked off, so you can't have trucks bringing in food and water and medical supplies.
And all that water that's floating around is not drinkable in the form that it is at that moment, at least.
Correct. So you have the possibility of disease as well. But what happens is in general, when you're without food and water and supplies and you're starving, sometimes people turn to the dark side and they do what it takes to survive.
Yes, and some of them turn to the even darker side and they just take what they can get their hands on and not worry about surviving at all.
That's right. Looting,
Right.
crime, gangs, things like that are all possibilities once society kind of breaks down.
Yep. And when you're cut off from the world from a disaster like that, you got to make sure that you're safe as well.
Yeah.
Other things that could cause social breakdown are reports in the news. For instance, we all have seen court cases that haven't gone the way that maybe we would like, and that can definitely cause some problems out in society.
Absolutely. People take to the streets.
Yep.
Sometimes they get a little revved up, start breaking windows, stealing, looting.
Yep.
Obviously, we've all seen it before, so that's a big possibility.
Right. Another social breakdown reason could be mistreatment of the citizens by their government.
Yep. Or even with government cases, they're passing laws or they're not passing laws.
Yep.
And, the people in general just get upset. And then they take to the streets wanting to voice their opinion about it.
Yep.
Sometimes it gets out of hand.
It does, and we've all seen the news footage of cars being tipped over. It's never a good
Right.
thing. Now, what about the government itself? The citizens unhappy with the government, obviously. We were just kind of going over that a little bit, but there's other reasons than laws. I mean, there's taxes and variety of reasons why the government can do whatever they
Elections,
feel like.
wars. I mean, there's
Yep.
numerous things. Your taxes, your benefits, your retirement. There's so many different factors there.
There is, and another thing that comes to mind for social breakdown is disease.
Yep.
And what can you tell me more about that?
Well, we don't deal with it as much here in the U.S., but in other parts of the country where they don't have readily available medical supplies or treatment, disease kind of runs rampant. And when it does, you have sick people, you have the
Yep.
water sources that are polluted, and it's kind of a depressed attitude that people have. You're not feeling good. And so when that's the case and people are sick and their children are dying, they might get desperate, to
Very
get
true.
those supplies.
Right, which lack of food, lack of water, lack of medical, problems with the economy. There's a whole variety of things that could lead to social breakdown, and I guess we're probably going to go over a lot more of that in segment 2 as well.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about not only what happens with a social breakdown, but also ways that you can prepare for it so that you're not a victim if people are taken to the streets or
Right.
trying to get your stuff from you.
Yeah, I agree. It's something that's very important. We need to make sure that we take care of it, and take care of ourselves and our families.
Absolutely. So when we come back from the break, we'll have a lot more information for you. Stick around. It's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we have some really good stuff.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate the little disease talk there. I didn't really 100% sure.
Oh, yeah, no. The disease is one of those things that just happen all over the world. Hi, I'm Jason Hill,
James Blackburn,
and welcome back to No Joke Survival.
preparations for the average family.
Now,
Hey,
Danny!
well, we have our guest in, and
Fantastic.
without further ado, Kristen, how about you head on in here? This is Kristen Kasserman.
Hi there.
Hey guys.
Is that right? So, I actually have to finish up our beginner's box, so I'm going to leave you to talk to. Wow, I feel short right now, so I'm going to just get on out
We'll
of
get you some
here.
heels.
Hey, bye, Danny.
Thanks. So, why don't you tell us your name, a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name's Kristen Kasserman. I'm the Clinical Director of Intensive Outpatient Services at Sage Neuroscience Center.
Everyone take a deep breath.
And I'm on Cibola Search and Rescue and do mountain extraction, search and rescue, helping people out of the mountains safely.
Fantastic. Awesome that
cool.
you're doing so much for the community and giving back. So we really appreciate that. Now, we're talking about social breakdown, and there's a lot of things that go along with that, with the mindset of people once things start kind of going bad.
Absolutely.
And so we're going to touch on a couple different things. One would be the difference maybe between what would happen in a city or out in the country, because one's going to be more affected by the other.
And it's going to depend on what sort of disaster has happened. Is it one that's primarily affecting people in the city, or more like a wildfire or a flood that's more mountainous terrain affecting the rural areas?
Absolutely, I
that's a
hadn't
good point.
considered that. You know,
Yeah.
like with Hurricane Katrina, the flooding happened in the city, but you get a wildfire out in the country, and then those people might have to leave their homes. You know, so now one of the things that we've heard, especially once supplies are cut off, is how quickly they disappear off the shelves. You know, do you have a rough estimate of how that happens?
Word on the street is about 3 days and stuff is cleared out, be that medicine, food, water, any supplies you might need.
Yeah, I've seen these videos where, you know, the looting kicks in and people just rush to the stores.
Yep.
And at first they start buying stuff up, and then it gets to the point where they just running out of the store with stuff.
Yeah.
Empty shelves in a matter of days.
Mild-mannered neighbors stabbing each other, pushing each other away, taking things out of your hands. Yeah.
And it would be the same with like the gas pumps as well.
Yeah, everything would be gone really quickly. What about government intervention in a situation such as that? Would you know anything about that at all?
Well, like in some situations, the government, you know, the National Guard might be called in, or they might implement a curfew if there's gangs and looting and stuff like that.
And I'd imagine for an awful lot of Americans, that would be a difficult situation to be in, living in a city and being told you have to be in your home by dark. You're not allowed to do this and that. Culturally, that's just not the nature of America.
Yeah. Now, let's talk a little bit about the mindset, because, you know, we like to think that most people are good, but when it comes down to your basic needs of food and water, survival.
A lot of people, it's called the flexible mind, and it's important to have one in a survival situation because your will to survive needs to override any and everything else, which means I have no food, I have no water, I have no shelter. What am I going to do? Goal one, I'm going to survive. What's my first step? And people will go to amazing lengths to survive and do things you never thought possible.
Yeah, I think about it, and for a lot of people that have children, if my child was hungry and crying, you know, me who doesn't commit crime, like I would be out looking for food if I didn't have it. You know, I think it's just human nature to survive, and so when things get bad enough, the point is that laws kind of
Go out the window.
They go
a
by
lot
the
of times,
wayside.
morality, ethics, they go out the window. If it's your child who's hungry, scared, in need of water, and that person has it, a lot of times people are going to just take.
Well,
You know?
and then you have the other aspect of that's what happens with the good people who are in an extreme situation.
Yes.
When you take the bad people who are already bad, and now it's like a festival coming to town because they're even just going to get worse. That's where your gangs come in, they group together, and it's like, oh, there's no, the cops are too busy to respond to anything or whatever, and I can do whatever I want.
They take over managing resources.
Well, and in some cases, the disaster can be so large that the law may be only surviving themselves as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to take that into consideration too, that they are humans who also have to survive the same disaster that the rest of us are surviving. And, which leads us to them bringing in the military as a possibility and setting up the FEMA camps, right? In something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we all have heard good and bad things about.
Yeah, and we're not here to cast stones. Hopefully, resources do come in a natural disaster. We'd like to think that help is going to be available to us, but the idea, especially of this show, is to have our own preparations in place.
And there's a lot of peace of mind that comes with that. If I'm the one who has put together, here are my food resources, here are my firearms, here's my extra ammo or my reloading equipment, I know how to use these things and I'm comfortable using them. That's going to give me a greater peace of mind so that when faced with that situation, it's like a muscle memory. I go back into a comfort zone. I'm like, okay, goal one, I'm going to go make food. I have food. I can get my Dutch oven out. I don't need electricity. And there's already a plan in place.
Yeah.
So basically, in a social breakdown situation, peace of mind or frame of mind is a big part of it.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you give away to panic right away, I even have in a book for hiking in the mountains, it says, do not panic and run if you ever become lost. And it's sad that they have to write that in the book in the first place. But that's social, breakdown is even worse than being lost in the mountains. So,
It is.
Well, think
don't
about
panic and run.
Think about general anxiety, and your central nervous system takes over, and you're breathing up here. Big tight breaths. This is fight, flight, or freeze. And most people go into that under anxiety instead of deep, big, fat, pregnant belly breaths. And this is going to calm your central nervous system. I can go into rest and digest. So yeah, under panic, sit, take a couple deep breaths, think about, plan, and then move on with what you're going to do next.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's true because you tend to make bad decisions when you're stressed out and not thinking right.
Yeah.
And it's, oh, here, let me run out and greet the gangs and offer them some cookies. They'll befriend me, Maybe not the best decision as they
I don't
take
know.
all your stuff.
I'm Southern. I could see bringing, I've got a casserole.
But yeah, the state of mind is so critical, to keeping yourself in a good place, being able to react well, make good decisions, and you have to have that, especially in a crisis, or things just go south.
Even building up to the crisis, a lot of our media is kind of got puppeteers behind it, and we may not see stuff coming as clearly, but watching for the signs and not living in a little state of denial about the reality of what's going on.
Hey,
Here's
Danny's
something
here
about
with our
What do you got for us?
Reality.
We have our beginner's box here.
beginner's box.
Yay! Well, actually, we have, as far as social breakdown, you want to try and have a variety of anything and everything you could almost think to have. And first thing I'm actually going to pull out, I heard something about peace of mind.
Yeah.
This is just kind of a representation. You might want to just think of keeping those items like your favorite book, or especially if you have a child, that security blanket to help you stay in that right frame of mind.
That comfort item.
Exactly.
Call that.
Exactly.
And not just for kids, for adults too. A pack of cards. I'm a big fan of chewing gum, which is like a guilty little pleasure. Those little pieces.
Nice. We also have, actually,
This
my
is a good
personal.
book, too. It's
yes,
fables.
It is. Certain fables. But we actually, in the case of the social breakdown, you might not have that opportunity where those of us with corrective lenses, whatnot, you might not be able to go down to the store and get more contacts. So, even if it's a cheap pair of glasses, whatnot, you really should have one, maybe a backup pair, just in case. So there's
Backups are
sunglasses.
good. That's
Exactly.
kind of
Great
the key
idea.
to it.
And on that same state of mind, you might not be able to get to your corner drugstore. So if you have backups of any kind of medication you might need, and backups to your backups in case you go through your medications rather quickly. And would you like to touch on this?
This is just a flash drive, and what I did is I took all my important documents, birth certificates, military documents, and anyway, scanned them into the computer and created a backup, because I've pretty much got my whole life on this, and if I have to run out the door with it in my pocket, it can be retrieved. So if there were a fire, you know, and I'm in my cabin and I don't have time to go through all those files, well, at least I have something.
Yep.
And you could do pictures on there too.
Your family albums, awesome point. I'm glad you brought that up. Your pictures, anything that's personal to you, and they hold so much information, there's no reason. They're very inexpensive. What else we got?
Well, this is kind of the paper side of important documents. You know, if you have your titles to your home and whatnot as well, just know where they are. Ooh, shiny.
Oh, pretty.
Barter items are a really nice idea to have. Now, you can trade, if you're into melting, it is illegal to melt currency, FYI. And if you want to use that for bartering, you can also think of things like produce, practical items, you know. If
cigarettes.
Exactly. Go the prison
Tobacco
way.
and alcohol.
Yep. Exactly. And then we have, I'm going to let you take it.
Just a ham radio communication. So if I got to run out the door, I have some emergency communications to contact friends or family members or seek help.
Exactly. And this is kind of 2-in-1 here. We have ammunition.
Yeah, and talking about social breakdown, sometimes you may have to defend yourself. So in this case, some people may choose to have a firearm. And if you do, you need to have the skills and the extra ammo so that you can protect yourself.
Come back after the break, and we'll go into more detail about some of these things, and we're going to have another awesome contest in this episode.
Yes, always have a fun contest.
Awesome.
This contest deals with knives and other stuff.
I'll trade you.
Welcome back to No Joke Survival.
I'm Jason Hill,
I'm James Blackburn,
and this is our guest, Kristen Kasserman. And today's show,
and don't forget about
I'm
Danny.
sorry.
I'm just saying. I'm Danny.
She's here too.
We got everybody. Today's show was about social breakdown and what could happen. One of the things I might have to do is improvise a weapon.
Yep.
And we have a quick video here that Danny did, and we'd like to show that to you first.
Yeah, check this out.
So we're out here today. I'm going to show you how to make a pretty basic spear, and you can use it for hunting, you can use it for hunting for fish, frogs, and, you know, if you're safe enough, maybe a walking stick. So what I've already done is I've harvested a green branch from a tree. What you'll then do is you'll try and find yourself a kind of branch to set this up against. Kind of put it right there. Use your foot to brace it on the bottom, and since I already have one ready, I have a hammer. So you'll take your blade, just kind of set it in place as close to the center as you can, which shouldn't be hard, and then you'll just start tapping. And it works best with a green branch because then you won't end up breaking it too easily. And see how easily that's working? And you'll just keep going. And this is for a 2-prong spear, should have mentioned. So now that it's about yay so far, it's pretty good. If you go too far, you'll actually weaken it. You can just have it break. And if it's a little stuck, always try and work back and forth. Don't ever just try and yank it. Safety first, always. To make a 2-prong, I actually have a stick here that I'm going to use to wedge actually between our 2 pieces. That way we can have a nice separation between the 2. I have here conveniently a shoelace. So being safe, don't let this be in your way. Put it away. There's, 1,001 knots that you can use, but in something like this, something simple is nice, which if you want to use a square knot, which is right over left, then left over right, that'll be just fine. You're not really going to be skewering soft dirt. So now what we have to do is sharpen our skewer. So take your knife back out, and what you'll want to do is you want to make sure that it's tucked in kind of at your hip, and always point away from you, and just sweeping motions. And this especially is where it's nice having a green blade, or I'm sorry, excuse me, a green branch, because it'll go much smoother. You'll want to start towards the end, actually, and then you work your way back. And if you just start kind of working your way around, it'll eventually start to go into a point.
All right, welcome back.
That was pretty awesome, Danny.
It was very entertaining to me.
Good job.
as well.
Did you go out and spear anything afterwards, or?
I didn't. In theory, I could spear the air, but I didn't.
We'll have to do a show on that where she gets
Yeah.
a frog and then we grill it up and eat some frog legs.
Frog legs.
It is southern. It is pretty. It tastes like chicken, honestly. It really
Yeah.
does. But
It does.
a little slimier.
And
So-
we have sticks here.
Yeah,
don't
we have our contest we're gonna do, and for our contest today, we're just gonna make an improvised weapon. We'll sharpen these up into something and have fun with it.
We'll see who gets sharpest the fastest.
Okay.
So this is a single prong spear this time around.
Correct.
And it's a
Yes.
bit harder since these are already dead branches.
Yeah, these-
So
Yep.
challenge.
They're
All
good.
right.
All right. Well,
Strong.
Do you have your wet noodle?
I do.
Oh,
gentlemen, release your weapons.
Need sound effects with
I think
that.
that
Right.
as we'll stand back
a whip.
here.
So technically, I am going to make a two-prong spear
so
because it's
yours-
already 2 points. So
Oh, lucky duck. All right.
this will be awesome. So
all right.
under the hip, just like she said.
Ready?
Or under my pit.
Yeah.
Set. Go.
Dun,
I prefer to do fast little strokes like this.
Dun,
And
dun,
Jason's
dun, dun.
going a little slower, but
Get some sound.
everybody has their own technique.
Can you guys hum some music? I feel like we should.
See?
So normally you wouldn't do this inside either, as you can see all these shavings that are coming around everywhere, making messes here.
This is a good kindling.
It is.
So if you had to start a fire, you don't waste anything in a survival situation. You use all of it. And
Like Danny said too, we're cutting away from ourselves.
trying to. We have the first aid kit on set, right?
We do, and we should all know where that is.
I'm pretty sure I got a splinter, so I may need medical attention later.
Little injuries.
I think we have a
Hydrogen
knife.
peroxide, a little bit.
We'll dig it out, Danny.
But it hurts so bad.
It might actually cause more damage than the original wound.
Exactly.
To try to
you want
treat
to
it.
educate yourself. I mean, don't ever do something that you're not comfortable with. Like earlier in the beginner's box, we had, we actually had a gun in the beginner's box. That doesn't mean to go out and buy one. Use what you're comfortable with. So, I guess as we're slowly reaching up to a point here, I guess that means that we're
Nice point.
I'm almost
getting to the
there.
end of our episode. So if you want to know more about what we do, if you want to ask us any questions, feel free to visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/NoJokesSurvival. I'm in the danger zone here. You can also visit our website at www.nojokesurvival.com. There you can find links to YouTube to watch our videos in case you wanted to kind of look again, see if there was anything you missed. And you can always shoot us some questions. We'll have more detailed information on the website. So we hope that you come back and join us next week. Next week we're going to be talking about protecting your stuff in any kind of situation. And so, all right,
Thanks.
duel.
Mine's pretty good. Man.
Oh, you fight me now.
Yours is two-pronged.
I know I got two-pronger.
We're talking safety, but it's not happening. Ah! Ah!
It's funny we're using sticks when I still have a knife in my hand.
And some of these other ones right here, we have things falling on the ground. Oh, I think I may have wet myself a little bit.
If you're up on a mountain, you may want to
go down into a valley, you know, or observe the area. Some lion.
Oh my God, what is that? What is that, dude? I
Probably a Sasquatch. They're all over the place.
this is important. You don't want to wipe your backside with something that might be poisonous.
What you want to do is literally just sit down and listen.
I kind of blew my way through there pretty badly. There was a lot of outtakes. It's back, dude! It's back! Ah! Where is it? There it goes!
That's awesome. You never know what you're gonna find in the wild. I love it. Or some sort of area where you're gonna find people and be rescued.
Oh man, that hurts! And now for a blooper.
Blur in the background. I literally got ants in my pants. While I was talking, I could